The movie begins at SETI in New Mexico, and every time a movie depicts someone working at SETI, I get so jealous because it seems like the easiest job in the world. You just sit around doing whatever, be it drumming the air with drumsticks, watching Jeopardy, playing paper football, eating a large slice of pizza, and when the alien alarm starts going off, you frantically knock over your gigantic pop and drop your pizza on the ground as you just start typing away, and then the dog that you're somehow allowed to have as a work companion eats the pizza, and you're silently whispering to yourself, "What is that?" And then you turn to your dog and say, "We better call somebody," and then the dog comically licks his chops and cocks his head to one side. I love that shit. This particular SETI employee is practicing his putting. Not as good as what I had in mind, but still, he's dicking around at work. I just love it. He calls in the other members and they discover that the signal is coming from the moon. The military scramble their team to formulate a plan, led by General William Gray, played by the terrifying, even if he's a good guy, Robert Loggia. Like, Robert Loggia walked so Michael Ironside could run.
A mass roughly 1/4 the size of our moon.
And they discover that the ship is about 1/4 the size of our moon. For all my European friends using the metric system, let me translate. The ship is about a Royale with cheese the size of our moon. Hope that clears it up.
Get me the Secretary of Defense. Then wake him!
Who is the absolute madman who told Robert Loggia, he's sleeping right now? Robert Loggia tells you to get someone, you better get him. We then meet President Thomas Whitmore, who is talking to First Lady Marilyn Whitmore, who's in LA at a conference, and everyone is attacking Whitmore because they think that he's weak, even though he was a combat pilot in the military.
Yes. Could you say that again?
Jeff Goldblum plays a cable TV technician, and every station is being scrambled by the giant spaceship. And David is also extremely environmentally conscious.
Nobody knows.
What the hell are you doing? There's a reason we have bins labeled recycle. What the hell is going on? My God in heaven.
I love the acting choices that Jeff Goldblum makes. You know, like they fit when he's playing like an out there eccentric. I love when he just has to play a regular guy, but he's still very Jeff Goldblum-y. So like when him, Walken, and Cage all die, who's going to carry on the torch of eccentric weirdo in Normal Job? Who would that be? Let me know in the comments. Who is a young up-and-comer that can match the manic intensity of a Goldblum, a Walken, or a Cage? The mothership releases 36 smaller ships, each one over 15 miles wide, and they're going to enter Earth's atmosphere in the next half hour. And again, for my European friends, they are going to enter the Terran homeworld atmosphere in the next Le Bacon double cheeseburger minutes. There's chaos in the Oval Office as everyone is scrambling to find out what's going on. And now, as someone whose job is pretty straightforward, I'm always curious in scenes like this, what do you think everybody's doing? Who are they all talking to? Like, even when there's a crisis at my job, there's honestly only like 4 people that have to actually do any work. Like, I would be this guy turning on the TV. Otherwise, I don't know what the hell else to do. The ships began positioning themselves over every major city, including Washington, D.C., and they want to evacuate the president, but Whitmore says that he's not leaving.
And what happens if they do become hostile?
Well, you just send Robert Loggia to tell the aliens to knock it the fuck off, for Christ's sakes. I mean, they'd bounce. Randy Quaid plays Russell Case, an alcoholic crop duster who's barely able to provide for his 3 children. And everyone in town makes fun of him because he claimed that aliens abducted him years ago and did experiments on him.
Russ, when they took you up in their spaceship, did they do any sexual things to you at all? You recollect?
And we finally get our first glimpse of the spaceships entering the atmosphere. And now these days, we see spaceships in movies all the time, and it's no big deal. But in 1996, this was probably the greatest thing I had ever seen up to this point. And like, if you weren't there at the time, you can't understand how awesome this was. And the great thing is that there's minimal CGI at work here. There's just a huge model being pushed through a big fish tank. I want the next Marvel movie to have more practical fish tank effects. Like push Chris Pratt through murky water to make it look like he's floating. I don't give a shit. David discovers that the signal that's causing the disruptions is reducing every time it recycles, and it's going to disappear in 7 hours because it's a countdown to the aliens' attack.
It's like in chess. First, you strategically position your pieces, then when the timing's right, you strike. They're positioning themselves all over the world, using this one signal to synchronize their efforts. In approximately 6 hours, the signal's going to disappear and the countdown's going to be over.
And then what?
Chessmate.
Checkmate.
Checkmate. And now, I love this movie so much, and Harvey Fierstein is a national treasure, but I don't like this.
Oh my God, I gotta call my brother. I better call my housekeeper. I gotta call my lawyer. Forget my lawyer.
It is such a weird, forced joke, and it reminds me of the time in 2nd grade when I played Melchior in our school's production of We Three Kings, but ours was delightfully called Three Wee Kings. I didn't realize at the time that they were height-shaming us, but anyways. At one point, my character tells my buddy Shane, who's playing Balthazar, that we've traveled a long way from Jericho, at which point Balthazar pulls out a pill bottle and says, "Geritol? Why do you need Geritol?" And the adults in the audience nearly pissed themselves with laughter. None of us knew what the hell we were saying. This has the same joke written by a Catholic grade school volunteer vibes. But in Harvey Fierstein's defense, his original line was, my lawyer. Which actually would have made the joke so much better, but they dubbed it over to avoid an R rating. Like seriously, 90s, what the hell? In the 80s, you were allowed one F-bomb in a PG movie.
Who the do you think you are?
Oh. Hell, you could show full frontal nudity as long as one of the characters was animated. David's ex-wife Connie is the White House chief of staff, and he tries to warn her about the attack, but she says that he's being paranoid and hangs up on him. So David and his father Julius drive to DC to warn the president directly.
Hey, come on.
He's just trying to impress you.
If you want to impress me, you need to get a job. Stop slobbering all over my shoes.
I know you're the hero of this movie, but I'm really gonna need you to pet that dog and say, "Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy?" No? Okay. Captain Hiller is dating a stripper named Jasmine, and he lives with her and her young son Dylan. And he was on leave for the 4th, but he's been called back to service to deal with a potential threat.
A local crop duster was arrested today as he papered City Hall with leaflets from the air.
We've got to stop them! They're gonna kill us all!
Now, some people attribute his eccentric behavior to post-traumatic stress syndrome from his service as a pilot in Vietnam.
So you have a world-shattering event happening right now. Like, win or lose, this planet and its people will never be the same. Aliens exist, and they are here. And this news station is reporting on a local man who was arrested for littering. And they even rounded up people that knew him to talk about him. Like, this happened today, after the aliens got here. This wasn't some pre-planned segment. This reporter, while a 15-mile-wide spaceship looms overhead, tracked down some assholes to get an interview about a war veteran. And, oh, wait, it's Fox News. Okay, this actually is much more believable. Okay, never mind. This is not a plot hole. This is 100% what Fox News does.
They took him up in the spaceship. The aliens abused him sexually.
What the actual hell? They just air the uncorroborated gossip from some hillbilly and present it as fact? Oh, yep. Sorry, again, it's a Fox affiliate. Carry on.
The LAPD is asking Los Angelinos not to fire their guns at the visitor spacecraft.
And I love how this was possibly thrown in as a joke about how stupid we are as a species. But come on, man, we're not that dumb. Okay, yes, we are that dumb. You win. And so giant spaceships have settled over every major city in the world, and Jasmine still has to go to work at the strip club. Again, it may have seemed absurd at the time and just thrown in as a joke that during a potential worldwide catastrophe, people would still be expected to go to work, but again, this tracks. David makes it to the White House and tells the president that they only have a Le Bacon double cheeseburger hour until the aliens attack, and they finally scramble to evacuate the president.
You must leave now!
Now, these people are clearly insane, but that light is extremely pretty. She is correct in that statement. It reminds me of the light emitted from my old Indiglo watch. Did you guys ever have one of those? But it should be noted that Indiglos were not pretty. They were breathtakingly beautiful. They shined the light directly from the soul of God. And all the spaceships begin opening the Indiglo Bay doors, and when the countdown ends, they emit a burst of concentrated energy and blow the hell out of everything. So we reach July 3rd, and the initial attack is over, and oh, okay, another question. I want to know, what are your favorite Statue of Liberty destroyed in movie shots from TV or movies? Let me know in the comments. The Air Force scrambles fighters to engage the spaceship over LA.
Washington, New York squadrons reporting lock on.
Fire at will.
Fire at will.
Fire at will.
What? No, don't fire at will. He's on our side. They all fire missiles at the ship, but it's protected by a force field. And then thousands of individual fighter ships emerge.
See if you can fly that thing under cover.
So Hiller encounters the alien and knocks him out and utters the iconic line,
Welcome to Earth.
and he clearly says Earth, not Earth. Like, I remember when this movie came out, the whole Welcome to Earth shit that went on. It was weird and shitty, and sadly, it's like 1,000 times worse today. Jasmine's driving through LA rounding up survivors when she comes across the First Lady's downed helicopter. and they make their way to El Toro only to find it completely destroyed. Hiller drags the still unconscious alien across the desert, still unconscious after a punch from Will Smith. And when he comes across the convoy of RVs, he tells them about a military base he saw when he flew over, so the convoy and the president's men all converge on Area 51. The president meets Dr. Oken, who shows him the alien craft that they recovered at Roswell that they've been studying ever since. They bring the alien to Area 51 to run tests on it. The alien comes to and attacks all the scientists and uses Dr. Oken to demand his release.
We can find a way to coexist. Can there be a peace between us?
What kind of authority do you think I have? I am one fighter amongst billions. My name is Gribble Crawl, which roughly translates to what you Earthlings would call Doug. I have no power here. So Gribble Crawl Doug says that he wants the humans to die, and he gets inside of Whitmore's head and they finally gun Doug down. So then Whitmore saw into Doug's head and learned that the entire alien civilization travels from planet to planet, consuming every natural resource, and then they move on to the next. So you see, if we just adopt a fully green solution, then the aliens would be What are they going to do, bottle up our wind? So Whitmore reluctantly agrees to try launching a nuke at one of the ships, and they choose Houston as the first target, but even a nuclear missile can't make it past the force field. David gets the idea from his father to infect the alien ship with a computer virus.
If we plant a virus into that mother ship, it's going to then filter down into all the corresponding ships below.
And just how exactly do we infect the mothership?
Watch your tone, Dick.
How long will the shields be down?
I don't know, a matter of minutes.
You want us to coordinate a massive worldwide counterstrike with a window of only a few minutes?
Oh my god. Do nothing and you're all dead by morning. Again, no one is asking you to go. David tells them that they'll have to fly the alien ship to the mothership and dock with it and then upload the virus, which should disable their shields for a few minutes. And they have enough planes, but they don't have enough pilots, so they have to recruit some from the RV convoy outside, including Russell. President Whitmore notices the pilots look nervous, so he gives a speech. And now there are two types of people. People who think this is one of the greatest speeches ever put to film, and people that are secretly communists.
And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice, we will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight. We're going to live on. We're going to survive. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day.
So Hiller and David get picked up by the mothership's tractor beam and get pulled through the ship to a central hub. And David begins uploading the virus. And now everyone shits on this scene and wonder how he could connect a Mac to an alien spaceship. They've been studying the ship for 50 years. You gonna tell me that they can't reverse engineer the technology enough to learn how to get it to interface with a Mac? Plus, it's implied that the majority of major technology that we have today came from studying this alien craft anyways. So in this universe, the Apple computer is technically made with the same alien technology. Of course, this is fiction and Apple products are not compatible with anything. I had one iPhone, and it was the worst phone I've ever had. Give me a phone that I can sideload Battletoads Double Dragon onto, please. They upload the virus and bring down the shields.
Squadron leaders, fire at will, fire at will, fire at will.
What? Fire at will? He's not even on Earth. Your missiles aren't going to make it that far. David and Hiller can't disengage from the loading platform and realize that they aren't going to get to go home. Back on Earth, they're running out of missiles, and they're barely putting a dent in the craft when the primary weapon begins to open, and Russell heroically shows up with one missile remaining. Russell is in range, and his missile arms, but gets jammed. And so Russell makes a decision to fly his jet into the weapon and sacrifice himself.
Do me a favor. Tell my children I love them very much. Hello, boys! I'm back!
Seriously, so good. And the impact causes a chain reaction that obliterates the whole ship. And fun fact, to save money, they just reused the shot of the Empire State Building model being blown up and turned it upside down. And now this whole scene is awesome, probably one of my favorite movie scenes ever, but this was not the first version that they filmed. In the original version, Russell was denied being able to fly in the battle because he was drunk, and so he strapped a missile to his biplane and did a kamikaze mission in a crop duster. I am so glad they came to their senses. Like a lot of times you'll see a deleted scene, you're like, why'd they delete that? This one makes sense. It makes total sense. And oh my god, I forgot these two are still stuck in the other ship. So they fire the nuke while still attached, and it breaks them free, and they race out of the ship right as the nuke explodes, and they crash land back on Earth. And now these two have the cocksure swagger of two people that know that they will never have to work another day in their lives. So that was Independence Day. I got really excited talking about this movie at the beginning and kind of petered out in the middle. It is a tad overlong in spots, and some of the subplots and character relationships are kind of boring. But we can all agree that the first 30 minutes and the last 10 are just flawless. So all in all, that makes for one good episode of X-Files.